A former Vikings player who shined on special teams last season has just been released and is available on the market right now, and the timing could not be more perfect. After the disaster against the Bears that cost the victory, with Kevin O'Connell being caught on camera exploding toward the special teams coordinator with a phrase that went viral, and Matt Daniels publicly admitting that the guys got greedy, Minnesota urgently needs a veteran solution. This player knows the system, has already proven his value wearing purple, and may be the missing piece to fix the mistakes that are killing the Vikings' playoff chances. The question is whether the front office will make the call before another team grabs him, so stay in the video because now I will show you exactly who this free agent is, why he makes total sense for Minnesota, and the brutal reaction from head coach Kevin O'Connell that shows the level of frustration with special teams. And without wasting time, let's get straight to the point. The name is Trent Sherfield, and before you think just another generic receiver, stop everything. Sherfield is not available by accident, and the Vikings should not even hesitate before calling him. The Denver Broncos released the veteran last weekend on November 15th, letting him go from a 2-year $6 million contract that pulled him away from Minnesota at the start of this season. Sherfield had signed with Denver precisely because the Broncos saw what he did for the Vikings in 2024, and now that Troy Franklin has emerged in Sean Payton's offense, Sherfield became expendable in Colorado. But here is the detail that changes everything. He was not cut for being bad. He was cut because Denver did not need him anymore. Minnesota? Minnesota needs him desperately. Last Sunday was the definitive proof that Minnesota cannot delay this decision anymore. After J.J. McCarthy led a heroic 10-play, 85-yard drive ending in the touchdown to Jordan Addison that put the Vikings ahead 17-16. With 50 seconds left, everyone in US Bank Stadium thought the win was secured. But then came the nightmare. Devin Duvernay took the kickoff and exploded for 56 yards, placing the Bears at the Vikings' 40-yard line. And it was in that moment that Fox cameras captured something that shows exactly the level of frustration inside the team. Kevin O'Connell was caught looking directly toward coordinator Matt Daniels and saying, without any filter, "Are you effing kidding me?" Here is the moment when that happens on the sideline.
Feet. And then the kicking game, frustrating.
This was not whispered. This was not a private locker room conversation. This was captured on national television with clear lip reading, showing a head coach who simply lost his patience with the repeated special teams mistakes. And O'Connell had every right to be furious. His offense had just overcome a horrible day to deliver a clutch drive. Brian Flores' defense had held Caleb Williams the entire game, and all they needed was one decent kickoff coverage to seal the win. Instead, 3 runs after the monster return, Cairo Santos stepped in and hit a 48-yard field goal that sealed the 19-17 loss. Game over. Playoff hopes practically dead as the postseason chances dropped from 25% to just 9% according to PFSN analytics. And the worst part is that this mistake was completely avoidable. Special teams coordinator Matt Daniels admitted it in Tuesday's press conference, and his statement was devastating. Daniels opened his heart in a way you rarely see from a coordinator in the NFL. He said word for word, "I've been in the league now 8 years, played football a long time in this league, and I have never felt the way I felt after that football game. Never." Let that sink in for a second. 8 years in the NFL, and this was the worst feeling of his career. Daniels continued, "You'd just rather get beat a different way and just rather lose a different way. If they took that ball up the sideline and hit it on us, I would be able to live with that. But it was tough." Daniels made it absolutely clear that it was not scheme, it was not Bears talent, it was not Devin Duvernay making some supernatural play, it was pure Vikings indiscipline. And then came the sentence that defines the problem. Guys got greedy out there. It really boils down to this. We live in a world where attention spans are very, very short and are shortening. There's a belief of wanting this instant gratification, and everyone wants to be the guy that makes the play. The 10 guys covering are basically thinking, "I'm going to be the guy that makes the play." As a result, we lose discipline in our lane coverage. He finished with something that should be tattooed in the locker room. Not every single play is yours to make. As long as you do your job, the plays will come to you. Simple as that. Let's go to the cold numbers that prove why Sherfield is the answer. In the 2024 season wearing purple, Sherfield caught 8 of 9 passes, totaled 83 yards, and scored 1 touchdown. Nothing spectacular as a pure receiver. right? That thinking is wrong. The true value of Trent Sherfield was never being a WR1 or WR2. His value is on special teams, where he was dominant. Meanwhile, in 2025 with the Broncos, he played 51% of special team snaps in the first 10 weeks, proving that even in Denver his primary role was covering kicks and protecting returns. He caught only 3 of 4 passes for 21 yards in the Broncos offense because that simply was not his job. But here comes the irony. The Vikings are suffering exactly in the area where Sherfield excelled. Translating what happened on Sunday, the young kickoff coverage players abandoned their lanes, all wanting to be the hero who makes the spectacular tackle, and in the process, opened a giant alley on the right side of the field. Ivan Pace Jr., Austin Keys, and Ty Felton, all rookies or players with little experience, collapsed inside when they should have maintained discipline on the outside lanes. Taviere Thomas, who is on the roster exclusively to play special teams, was easily blocked by Josh Blackwell. Tyler Batty and Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins, rookie defensive linemen, were also sealed in the middle of the play. Eric Wilson even managed to chase Duvernay from the opposite side of the field and push him out of bounds, but the damage was already done. The ball was at the 40-yard line, field goal range secured, game lost. Now, connect the dots. Trent Sherfield was on the field in 2024 precisely to avoid this kind of breakdown. He is a 30-year-old veteran who understands the concept of lane discipline perfectly, who does not chase highlight plays, who simply does his job. And here is something interesting. The Vikings had an almost identical situation in Week 5 against the Browns in London. Minnesota had just made it 21-17 with less than 30 seconds on the clock. Will Reichard kicked off, and the coverage held the returner to only 26 yards. Cleveland tried 2 desperate deep passes, both incomplete. Vikings won. The difference between London and Sunday was discipline, execution, veterans doing their job without chasing individual glory. And there is another critical factor no one is talking about. CJ Ham is practically absent this season because of injuries. Ham is the veteran leader who keeps the special teams unit disciplined, the guy who pulls the younger players back into their lanes when they drift, the presence that makes a difference in pressure moments. Without Ham consistently available, there is a leadership vacuum, and that is exactly where Sherfield would fit perfectly. He would not be just another body on the field. He would be the veteran voice this young unit desperately needs. Let's talk about Taviere Thomas for a second. Thomas is on the Vikings roster exclusively to play special teams. That is literally the only reason he is receiving a paycheck from the franchise. And on Sunday, in the most important play of the year so far, he was completely erased by a clean block from Josh Blackwell. Thomas was also the guy who committed a holding penalty that wiped out a huge return from Miles Price against the Steelers in Dublin. And there is more. He committed another penalty that erased what would have been a 99-yard touchdown by Price. The pattern is clear. Thomas is not delivering what he is supposed to deliver. Sherfield could easily replace him on the depth chart and bring far more reliability. Speaking of Miles Price, he has been dynamic as a returner, no denying that. He is second in the NFL in both punt return yards and kickoff return yards. But here is the problem. Price has had 3 fumbles this season, including one against the Ravens in Week 10 that Baltimore recovered and turned into a touchdown. And Minnesota leads the entire NFL with 158 penalty yards on special teams, many of them wiping out explosive returns by Price. Having Sherfield on the field is not about replacing Price. It is about giving him support. It is about having veterans around who do things the right way while Price develops his discipline. Kevin O'Connell talked about this in Monday's press conference, and his statement was revealing. O'Connell said, "Our coverage unit has been one of the premier units on our team all season long. In those moments, I think you've got to trust your guys to be at their best. I think there's an element to it too where guys want to win so bad, they want to win that down so bad for the sake of the team that the discipline of what is my job on the play gets lost." And then came the most important part. I think there's some of that going on throughout our team. And you know, it's a better problem to have than trying to find the fight and trying to find the guys that will play physical and hard for 60 minutes. We have that box checked. O'Connell recognizes that the problem is not a lack of effort or desire, it is excess desire without the veteran discipline to channel it correctly. And that is exactly what Sherfield would bring. He already knows Minnesota's system from playing here in 2024. He does not need weeks of adaptation. He does not need to learn new calls. He does not need to build chemistry. He simply comes in and executes. The timing is literally perfect. Some people will ask whether it is worth bringing in a 30-year-old player during a season that seems lost, and the answer is yes for two reasons. First, coaches and players are competitive animals. They do not quit even with a 4-6 record. They will fight until the end, and if there is a piece available that can help right now, you take it. Second, even if 2025 does not work out, you are solving a structural problem that will continue into 2026. You are bringing in a veteran who can teach the young players how to do things the right way, accelerate their development, and create a culture of discipline that will last beyond this season. The window is open right now. Sherfield was released by the Broncos. Other teams with special teams needs are likely already calling. Washington, Giants, Patriots, all of them need help in that area. Minnesota has an advantage because of the past history with him, but that advantage will not last forever. Kwesi Adofo-Mensah needs to pick up the phone today and make this call happen. The Vikings face the Packers at Lambeau next week, another critical divisional game. Do you really want to risk another special teams mistake costing a victory? Or do you bring in the solution that is literally available and waiting? The choice should be obvious. Trent Sherfield, former Viking, free agent, reliable veteran, available now. Make the call, Minnesota. Thank you for watching and see you soon.